In our last video, we visited the beautiful city of Sarasota, Florida. We checked out the Arts District and the historic downtown, where they love their roundabouts. And of course, we had to check out the gorgeous waterfront. In this video,
we're in Punta Gorda, Florida.
For context, we visited Punta Gorda in April of 2024. We actually stayed the night in Port Charlotte. The next morning we got up, crossed the bridge, and we took the first right. We had no idea what we were going to find, but the first thing we saw was this beautiful, beautiful old home. But oddly, on the other side of the street was a very dilapidated hotel. Turns out that was a victim of Hurricane Ian. That didn't discourage us. We kept checking out the waterfront, and it was awesome.
Today we're in Punta Gorda, Florida, which is on the Gulf side. We're starting in Gilchrist Park. We're going to check out some of the historic homes and then work our way back toward the downtown. So come along for the ride. Punta Gorda literally means fat point because it's the fat point of land that juts out into Charlotte Harbor, which is one of the largest natural harbors in the United States. The city was settled in the 1880s and incorporated in 1887. Current population is about 20,000. This park was actually the site of the very first home here, built in July of 1876. However, by October, a hurricane came into the area and they found themselves standing in 2 feet of water because this was the lowest elevation in the area.
Yeah, according to the placard, that original home site was in the current location of that dilapidated hotel. So apparently we haven't learned anything over the years where not to build.
You can learn more about these murals at puntagordamurals.org, where the Mural Society offers information about each one. You can scan the 2D barcode and learn more. The boat club was built in 1961 on the site of a former 1903 fertilizer plant.
So for our serendipity portion of the video, it was exactly at this point while filming that we ran into somebody that was from the same hometown we're from, over 3,000 miles away. It is definitely a small world.
The Harborwalk is a 2.4-mile paved trail. It runs along Charlotte Harbor and the Peace River. It was built in 2004 as part of the redevelopment following the massive destruction of Hurricane Charlie. So when the city was founded, every waterfront block was designated as a park. So you have this whole string of public parks around the Harborwalk. The placard you see here commemorates a visit from former President Teddy Roosevelt when he went fishing in March of 1917. Over 1,000 people were there to greet him. This is the site of the former Maud Street Dock, which was built in 1928 to house fish packing plants. These fish packing plants were destroyed in a fire in 1939. In February 1980, Fisherman's Village was opened.
Fisherman's Village is an interesting place. It's kind of like a mall in that it has retail and restaurants and things like that, but It's also kind of like a hotel. Most of the stuff you see on the second floor are actually hotel rooms available for rent. So if you watch our videos, you might be wondering why we took so much video of the mall. Well, to be honest, we didn't even realize it was a mall until later on when we actually walked through the middle of it and saw the retail stores. Although it's not in this video, that's the exact location we return to later in the day to enjoy a few of the local beers. This is Fisherman's Village here in Punta Gorda. And this is a really interesting place. It's like a mall, but it actually has a hotel, so the upper levels are places you can rent. As you saw from the video, there's boat rentals. The place is just loaded with bars and restaurants. This place is really cool, kind of reminiscent of that village in Long Beach. So I hope you enjoyed this, because this was quite a surprise. So at this point in the video, we had already checked into our hotel room, and now we're starting to explore the rest of the trail. And for the record, I know it's Punta Gorda. Caroline and I laugh because one of the most comments we get, and it's fair, is how we mispronounce things. That's sort of an inside joke that we put in the video.
The bridge you see in the distance, which is US Highway 41, was built in 1921 to connect Charlotte Harbor with Punta Gorda. And technically there's two bridges. One is northbound and one is southbound. This sundial sculpture is named the Spirit of Punta Gorda, and it commemorates the landfall of Hurricane Charlie in 2004.
So on the subject of hurricanes, there's no place in Florida immune to them, but this area has been hit especially hard in the last few years, especially with Idalia and Ian before that. And there are signs of those hurricanes all over the place, we just didn't put them in the video. Well, I guess except for the first hotel.
So there are two bridges that separate Port Charlotte from Punta Gorda, and you can see that in the distance there. Last night we stayed at the resort on the other side that's in Port Charlotte. We can highly recommend it. It's brand new. It just opened in December. Now originally we started and we did the river walk on the other side, and now we're doing the walk on this side of the bridge. We've gotten checked into our second hotel, which is right here on the water, and we're enjoying just checking out this area.
And if you're curious, the name of that hotel is the Sunseeker, and you actually see it quite a bit in this video. It's the huge building that's on the other side of the bridge. So this part of the trail had a very different vibe. Really, most of the trail was covered in trees and mangroves, which would be awesome on a hot summer day if you wanted to go for a walk.
An oyster reef is the first line of defense against erosion, storm surge, and sea level rise.
Yep, just like with the mangroves, they're the first line of defense in hurricane protection, and we have to protect them. All right, at this point, we've actually done the entire Harborwalk. We started on the far side. We actually didn't know it was there. We just came off the bridge and parked and we were on it, but we took it all the way to the end, which is the Fisherman's Village, which we already talked about, and now this is the opposite end. The whole trail is fantastic, a little bit of everything. This section we just went on is very protected because of the trees and the mangroves, and obviously you saw what the other side looks like. So it's lunchtime, I'm hungry and I want a beer, so now we're gonna head into the downtown. chose the Lashley Crab House for lunch. Awesome view. Great restaurant, although not technically downtown, which is where our next stop will be.
It appears to us that the core of the downtown sits between northbound and southbound US 41, where they come in a few blocks from the bridges.
Yeah, at the time we thought this was a surprisingly small downtown, although now that we know what the population of the town is, I guess it's exactly what you would expect. I think because of the size of the waterfront, Punta Gorda presents itself as a little bigger than it actually is. Normally, especially with small downtowns like this, we like to walk both sides of the street, but as you can see, oddly enough, everything seemed to only be on one side of the street. Notice that great big empty field there. Hopefully somebody watching this can tell us maybe what used to be there, because that seems like it's a very prominent part of town that's missing. Much like with the waterfront, the landscaping in the downtown is beautiful. Good job, Punta Gorda.
Here's another view of that empty space. It seems like something big used to be here. We would love to know what that was. This tile water fountain ahead has a very interesting story. So 500 years ago, Ponce de Leon searched Florida for the Fountain of Youth. In 1926, Punta Gorda residents raised money to build this fountain for the aquifer. Some believed it was actually the Fountain of Youth. It was so popular in the mid-20th century that they had to replace the handle every 6 months. The sign on it shows that the water is radioactive, and they wanted to switch this to city water, but public opposition prevailed.
And coincidentally, there were 2 people there for exactly that reason when we happened to be filming.
This square and placard commemorate the original founding fathers of Punta Gorda and shows where they met to really design the original town.
As we've already stated, this downtown is pretty small, so we're just sort of wandering around through the side streets and alleyways, see if we can find anything else interesting before heading back to the waterfront.
After filming, we ended up having dinner at this tiki bar where they also have live music.
And here's a few murals that Caro found underneath one of the bridges. And check out this tree. We had to get a picture of me in there for scale. So with that said, it's time to wrap this one up. All right, as we stare across the bay at Port Charlotte,
Yeah.
what did you think of Punta Gorda?
I liked Punta Gorda. It was a surprise. I really didn't know what to expect, but they have really capitalized on this waterfront area with a great harbor trail. We went from end to end and it's really cool.
Yeah, A+. Communities that are on the water that take advantage of it by putting things that people want to come to. Oddly enough, not as common as you would think.
Right.
We've seen plenty of places that didn't, but this place absolutely did. And the only thing that was a little surprising is there's not much of a downtown.
Not much.
There's a little bit of one and it's in the video, but this is really a waterfront community and it's definitely worth your time. If you're on your way to Naples from Tampa or vice versa, this is a worthy stop. So I give it a thumbs up.
Me too.
All right, get off the couch. We'll see you next time.
Cheers.